You're not afraid of being alone, you're afraid of facing your integrity or lack thereof. When so much of what we do feels like a performance for other people, either directly or via social media. What you do when you're alone, how you spend your time, what you think about, that's where integrity is. That's where your truth lies. You meet yourself when you're alone, and if that scares you, investigate why. For potentially the first time in my life, I'm fully doing what I want to do when I want to do it. Coincidentally or not, that's when it's easiest to be alone with myself. And I wouldn't say that I've always been someone who's super comfortable doing things alone, but I haven't been wildly averse to it. I've been to the movies by myself, and some things that people are like I'll meet people who have never gone out to eat alone. Hello, this is a letter from the editor. I wanted to share some really interesting articles and studies that I found. I used to think that in order to create content, I had to be an expert. I've really found the importance in not being an expert and in sharing the in-progress journey, highlighting points from experts. I also have this article by Nikita Gill called "If Your Loneliness Could Speak, What Would It Say?" Shame is a real number on our minds. Its potency is quite unlike anything else. Humans spend a lot of time trying not to be lonely, but truly what is the harder work, that difficult work, is being able to sit with your loneliness and figure out why it exists. This is shadow work, finding the hole in your heart and instead of filling it with just about anything, seeking the cause of the wound and learning precisely what it needs to heal. Sit with your loneliness. Because I'm not saying that everyone should be alone all the time. We are also the most lonely identifying generation. And these factors contributing to this are increased digital interactions, replacing face-to-face connections, social media usage, and lifestyle changes. Being physically alone is different than intentional solitude. It's not just physically being alone with you and your smartphone, for example. In 2022, a new study was released about the value of solitude. The paper reports benefits to losing yourself in thought, finding that this can benefit problem solving, increase creativity, enhance the imagination, and contribute to a sense of self-worth. We fear solitude, but it's exactly this alone time with our own thoughts that we need to make sense of our experiences and grow as humans. TikTok is fun, but grappling with the core questions of our existence is fundamental. Especially if you are a people pleaser, being alone is so healing, because for so long I would just have always been like, oh, I want to do what the other person wants to do. I want them to be happy. What are activities that you do really like doing alone and prefer almost? Like, so for me, that's things in nature. That's, sometimes it's like going to a coffee shop and doing people watching, and also generally traveling. This tweet brought up a really good point that when people think of doing things alone, like going out to eat or shopping or going to the movies alone, and it's seen as this awkward thing, is that people don't really understand the concept of finding peace in yourself and enjoying your own company. It's turning the scarcity mindset of I can't ever do anything alone because that means I'm lonely, and that's sad, into here are the things that I like doing alone and the times I like doing them and the intention with that. And it's not just, well, the default is this is something that I'm supposed to do with other people, so I'm just going to get someone to go for the sake of going. I really love this article by R.H. Sin titled "Loneliness versus Aloneness, Reframing Solitude as Sacred." One feels like absence and the other feels like a gentle return to self. Loneliness is what happens when we crave connection and feel forgotten. It's rooted in scarcity, the belief that being alone means being unloved. And it hurts because it whispers, you're not enough without someone else. I think that really hits the nail on the head. Aloneness is chosen. It's spacious. It doesn't feel empty. It feels expansive. It's the kind of silence that allows you to hear your own thoughts without flinching. It's where you begin to remember who you were before you started begging to be seen. Aloneness is sacred because it teaches you that your presence is already enough. You don't need someone else next to you to feel whole. You don't need to fill the silence with noise to feel alive. When you start honoring solitude, you stop reaching out of fear and start connecting from a place of fullness. That shift, that's how loneliness becomes liberation. I think another thing that really allows me to be alone without feeling like I'm disappearing is cultivating interests and curiosities and research and notes and kind of this inner voice. It feels scary to be alone when you feel like there's no dialogue happening, but like I am in dialogue with myself constantly. I'm doing a lot of journaling, I'm recording a lot of voice notes, and I'm literally talking to myself. It's not like I'm alone in this void and I'm going crazy because I'm bored and I have no stimulation. When I hang out alone, I'm like I'm hanging out with my best friend because I'm literally like in communication with myself and checking in with my body about how certain things feel, about what I think about certain things. And so I think the somatic element too of like embodiment and like feeling your body, that's something that I haven't always been very good at, is also really key. You can be physically alone, and if you're just existing in your head or in your phone and you're not like in this present grounded reality, of course you feel like you're disappearing because that part is just floating. You're not feeling embodied. So I like to do a lot of like grounding rituals for that, or just like sensory things. Research also shows that since the 2000s, Americans have been spending more of their free time alone, particularly at home. Of course you feel isolated, sitting on your couch, watching everything happen from your phone screen and feeling so apart from everything in every sense. Like, if you're gonna scroll on your phone, like at least go do it at the park, touching grass. You know what I'm saying? If you feel really afraid to be alone, or you feel this sense of no one is witnessing me, I will cease to exist, I like look around at nature and I'm just like, wow, nature doesn't save its most beautiful, amazing processes for when anyone's around to witness it. It just exists. I see the temporary nature of everything, the way that life moves without being witnessed by anyone. I feel held, and I feel less alone when I'm in nature because I feel from the world and of the world and a part of the world. I don't think that loss of identity is the same thing as a loss of independence. I think it's actually the opposite. I think this quote sums it up perfectly. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. We just have this thing ingrained in us now, with social media especially, needing to be witnessed and needing to be seen at all times, and we're not even really discerning of the depth or quality of the lens through which people are seeing us, if that makes sense. I just really feel like there are things so much scarier than being alone. Number one being with people who don't see you, who don't allow you to be in line with your integrity. And I think that's the biggest thing. No one is stopping you from being your dream best version of yourself when you're by yourself. And that's scary when you don't feel aligned with that. Ultimately, the ability to practice aloneness will often attract the right type of energy into your space. Pamela Anderson said on Solitude, "There is a way of being together that feels as easy and spacious as being alone, when your experience is not eclipsed by the presence of the other but deepened. Such companionship is extremely rare and precious. And yet, it is solitude, true, unbroken, unhurried solitude, that teaches us to recognize and cherish such moments." I think that is what I'm currently searching for in my life. Now that I have spent this time in solitude, I've gotten really comfortable being alone. Finding a way of being together with other people that feels as easy and spacious as that is the harder part, is not finding people to be around, but finding people that you can be in community with that feel like that. And so that, for me, is kind of more the phase that I'm moving into. And something that I'm actively doing in search for this kind of deeper community is finding more in-person events that, of course, can stem from digital spaces. There's this new eco-friendly craft club that I'm trying to go to, and just finding kind of niche interests and ways to connect with people over them in person is really important. I think the pandemic made us way too comfy with just doing Zoom stuff, and I'm so guilty of this. Like, I am sober, I'm a part of a sober community, I go to meetings, and I have such a tendency to be like, oh, I'll just go to a Zoom meeting that I can listen to instead of going out and getting in a room in person. And 10 out of 10 times when I go in person and put in that extra effort to be in community with people face to face, I feel 10 million times better, and I never regret it. So while alone time can be beneficial, it's really important to understand when that turns into unintentional isolation and how to actively take steps to connect with other people when you feel like you're teetering that edge. But my advice to you would be to really investigate your loneliness, investigate why it's uncomfortable to sit with it. What are you afraid of? And once you can find and pinpoint those fears and try to find ways to find the joy in your solitude and finding intentional ways to connect with yourself and make it fun. You know, I think it's so fun being alone because I love hanging out with like the voice in my head, which might sound crazy, but I love the places my mind goes versus being afraid of where my mind's going to go because I feel out of control of it, you know? And once you know what I'm talking about, of that true peace and unbridled joy of your solitude, finding community that feels as good as that feels is the next step. And I'm going to make more videos about that because, like I said, that's very much a work in progress for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave your comments down below about your thoughts about being alone and how to be alone without feeling like you're disappearing. I love you guys so much. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below your experiences with these things. I'm so happy to build this community. Like I was saying, I would rather be witnessed by no one than people who I feel like aren't seeing me how I am. And that is the most beautiful thing about this new place, this new channel, and this new community. And I'm so excited to cultivate that further and learn with you and alongside you and about you. So definitely leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.